Hello, hello, hello. I'm Alicia of Alicia Runs and Reads, and today I'm going to be telling you all about a few honorable mentions from 2025 that I have. These are not included in my top favorites, but I still like them very, very much and would highly recommend them if you have the same reading taste as I do, which usually includes horror, some fantasy, lots and lots of different genres as well, and being confused a lot of the time. So the first book I want to talk about, my honorable mentions for the year, is Grady Hendrix, Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. This is a little controversial of me because I think there's a lot of people who did not like this book. No, because then I'm backlit. So we're just gonna turn that one off. Anyways, the lighting's not the best in this video, but winter being what it is, we're doing the best we can. Anyway, this is Grady Hendrix's Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. This is a controversial opinion, perhaps. I don't know if a lot of people like this book. I think it's pretty divisive as far as where people fall along their enjoyment of this book. But I thought this was incredibly, incredibly well done. Grady Hendrix, being a man, if you didn't know, he writes incredibly poignantly about the experience of giving birth and the experience of having to let a child go or adopt them out, and I just thought he was incredibly well researched, and he wrote the female character in this incredibly well. Definitely tugged on my heartstrings. I definitely got teared up at points in this book, and I just thought it was really well done. If you didn't know, this is a story about these girls who find themselves pregnant in an era and time where if a teen girl found herself pregnant, they were shipped off and basically told to have the baby adopted out and then pretend like nothing happened when they get back. And this is primarily about that. It is more historical fiction about that than it is about the witchcraft. However, I do like the way the witchcraft was incorporated, and I had fun with those bits of it, but it is primarily about these girls and their experiences, and I just thought it was incredibly, incredibly well done. So props to Grady Hendrix for being able to write those things. However, there are very graphic birthing scenes in here. You may want to steer away from it if that is something that you don't think you can handle. I am someone who has given birth, and I can attest that some of these things in here are very frustrating to read and upsetting, but realistic. So yeah, that's Witchcraft for Girls by Grady Hendrix. The next two I want to talk about actually are by the same author. I finally read The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. I've liked everything I read by Stephen Graham Jones pretty much. I have read Teenage Slasher. I Was a Teenage Slasher. That I absolutely love that book. That was one I read last year. It was in one of my top 10. I've had My Heart is a Chainsaw. I want to finish that trilogy next year. The puppy wants to come up. You want to come up? Come up. Hold on 1 second, everyone. She doesn't like that the tripod's up. Come on. Come in. Come here. You want to be in my video? You want to say hi? Do you want to say hi? Say hello. This is Briar. She's Briar. She's a black lab Bernese mix. Can't really see her because she's just so dark. Yes, I love you so much. Anyways, she might hang out for a bit. She doesn't like that my tripod is here. It makes her nervous, doesn't it? Doesn't it, baby? Yeah, maybe we'll adjust this so you can see her. I always love a puppy. Oh, she's gonna put her head on my lap. Oh, you gonna enjoy me talking about the books? Anyway, she's gonna hang out. So yes, I finally read The Only Good Indians. I enjoyed My Heart is a Chainsaw as well. I enjoyed several other books by Stephen Graham Jones. So far, so good for me with his books. This is basically about nature getting revenge on some people who weren't respectful. It is primarily based on and around an reservation, and there is a creature taking revenge for the things that these boys did when they were boys, and there is a scene with a ceiling fan that has lived rent-free in my mind since. So I thought this was very, very good, and I highly recommend it. I also read Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones this year and really enjoyed it. He has just an incredible way of writing, and I do understand why people have hard times with it. Sometimes it does take a bit for me to get into his books, and it's not a book I can just go into lightly. Usually I have to actually sit down and really pay attention and kind of slowly get into it. This is a different take on a vampire story, and I really enjoyed some of the things that happen when the vampire in here eats different things, and I thought that was really different and interesting to read about. And I also really enjoyed sort of the history parts of it. It reads very historical fiction, and I do think some people are going to have troubles with that. There were portions of this where I was a little bored, I'm not gonna lie, but the ending made up for anything that I was bored during. I really loved the ending. I thought it was so good. We're also hearing about, he's a Blackfoot Indian named Goodstab. So we're hearing about Goodstab's life, the circumstances that brought him to become this vampire creature and his life. And then he's talking about it to this pastor, I believe. I think it's a pastor. It's some sort of holy man. And he's telling the story of his life. And also we're following a woman who finds a journal in a wall somewhere. So we're following through her reading of this journal. It's the journal of the pastor who, yeah, so the diary that she found was written by the pastor, and Goodstab was telling the pastor his tale, so that she's reading the tale through the pastor's journal. So I thought it was really interesting. I enjoyed it a lot. It's really wonderfully written, and I could see myself going back to it again at some point. I think it would be easier for me to read the second time through. Two short ones that I have are Bottled by Stephanie Ellis. This is an indie pub, and I read this through NetGalley, but it was published quite a while ago. I believe this author has written many short stories before, but this might be their first longer form. I read this a while ago, so I don't know if I remember like a ton. So this is about a man named Tyler, and his grandfather passes away, and he decides to go into this house because he has inherited it. His wife doesn't want him to, but he does. And there's a lot of mysterious things about this house. There's a room full of bottles that are very mysterious. It's like ship in a bottle type of thing. But there are some sort of mystery surrounding these impossible bottles, and they're behind a black door. And as a child, he was never allowed to enter it. Soon he realizes that he shouldn't have returned to this house. He shouldn't have come back to inherit this family curse, basically. And it is very interesting. It definitely has themes of alcoholism and just generational trauma and cyclicality of family stuff. So I thought this was really good. I do need to reread this one. I read this more towards the beginning of the year, but I remember just the feelings that it gave me, and I thought it was really well done, and not many people read it, so I thought I'd mention it here. I really liked it. I took a chance on it, and I really enjoyed it. Also, another short one is A Short Stay in Hell, and I've spoken about this recently, but this is a existential novel about a man. He's a Mormon, and he dies, and he finds out that, hey, he didn't worship the right God, so he's going to hell. And his hell is this library that is never ending, seemingly never ending. And every book that has ever been written or ever could be written is found in this library. And to get out of hell, move on to the next phase, he has to find the book of his life that is written about his life in accurate detail. And of course, this is very hard to do because it's an incredibly big, impossibly large library, and the odds of ever finding that story is slim to none. And so it's him trying to deal with this new circumstance that he finds his way in, himself in, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun in like a not fun way. Like makes you think about things that maybe people aren't meant to think about. I often, whenever people mention like multiverse and stuff like this, I'm like, oh, it makes my brain want to explode, and it's not really for me to know, but it's fun to think about sometimes in a not fun way. And yeah, I thought it was fun. Another honorable mention I have is The Mean Ones by Tatiana Schlotte-Bonet, and I also read this. Did I read this one on NetGalley? I think I did. And I really enjoyed this one as well. I found all of her books so far, this one and Such Lovely Skin to be a fun time. This is, I believe, her first adult novel. This is about Sadie, and she's a 29-year-old woman, but when she was a child, she went to a camp and all her bunkmates were murdered gruesomely, except for her. And she dates this man who's not very nice, named Lucas, and then they go on this couple's trip and weird things start happening. She hasn't really been back in the woods at all, and this isn't like near where the camp was, but you know, she doesn't want to go to this cabin because she has severe trauma about what happened when she was a child. And she also keeps hearing this voice in her head, which is interesting, and also some culty stuff going on here. And I really liked it. I thought it was a good time, and the cover is amazing. The imagery, the voice in the head trope is always a good one, and I recommend it. I will definitely be looking for more things from her coming up. She has another young adult novel coming out in the fall, so I'll probably be reading that since I did enjoy Such Lovely Skin. For a change of pace, I also wanted to mention the Paladin's Grace and Paladin's Strength by T. Kingfisher. I read both of these and really enjoyed them. I don't know if I gave them both 5 stars or maybe 5 and 4. I can't remember. But these books are based around these paladins that no longer have a god. Their god died, and they're sort of aimless and trying to figure out what they're going to do with their lives now that their god is not around anymore. And they work for the Temple of the Rat a lot, which is just another temple in this fantasy world, helping out when they can and where they can. And I found these to be, they're love stories, but they're also kind of a cozy fantasy. There's like some mysteries involved as well. In this one, we have Grace, who is a perfumer, right? Yes, we have Grace, who is a perfumer, and Stephen, who is one of the paladins, and it's their story about how they're solving this murder mystery as well as falling in love, and it's just all done really well. Characters are usually a little older, usually more subtly, they're more average, normal people, and other than being paladins in a fantasy world. So I just really enjoyed that. It's just cute and cozy, and the humor is really good, and I enjoyed them both. So I will be continuing this series in the next year, I'm sure. Paladin's Grace and Paladin's Strength by T. Kingfisher. Another honorable mention is Mayra by Nikki Gonzalez. I read this as an ARC as well, and then I had to buy the copy of it because I just liked it so much and I really liked the cover. This is about 2 friends who haven't seen each other in a long time, and for whatever reason they reconnect, and she gets invited to this cabin in the woods. There's a little bit of a theme here, and Ingrid, is it Ingrid? Yeah, so Ingrid is the friend, and then Myra is the one who invites her, and she gets there and she realizes that she has like a boyfriend there, and she's like, why do you have a boyfriend here? You didn't mention that you have a dude here. So that's sketchy. And she immediately has this feeling of foreboding and danger. So about being in this house with these 2 people, and her friend Myra's kind of like gaslighting her, like, no, it's fine. Come on, let's have a good time. Let's reconnect. And it kind of ends up going into this fever dreamy state where you're not sure what time has passed or what's really happening, and maybe time in this house moves differently than the outside world, and there's a lot of just feeling of dread. But it is primarily about young friendship and how we hang on to those friendships even maybe after we shouldn't because of things that we've experienced with them. The setting is really good. It's like swampy and mysterious, which I really enjoyed. It's set in the Everglades, which is really cool, like humid, hot, foggy atmosphere with alligators. So yeah, it's about toxic friendship. I need to reread this one as well because this was definitely fever dreamy at some point. So if you don't like that, you might not like this one. It is slow. This one grew on me. I remember writing in my review that I wasn't quite sure about it for the first half, but like the more I read past the second half, I was like, yeah, I really like this. And it just took me for a ride and I really enjoyed it. And I would like to reread this one. There's a lot I'd like to reread. That's one of my goals for this year actually, is to reread more because there's so many books that I finish and I'm like, I want to read it again. And it was blurred by Paul Tremblay. Gonzalez channels Shirley Jackson, something I do not say lightly in this disquieting, mesmerizing 21st century Southern Gothic. So yeah, if you don't like the Southern Gothic-y kind of feel, you might not like this one. It's definitely slow burn. Setting is very much character, atmospheric, those kind of vibes. And then my last honorable mention for the year of 2025 is Fever Dream by Samantha Sweblin. This one I really didn't know what to expect much. I didn't read a lot into it. I just knew that it's this tale of a woman who is dying, it seems, and has like this fever, and she is being told a tale from a boy that is not her son, and about what happened from this boy that is not her son. And that's all I really want to tell you, because it is confusing and you don't really know what's going on throughout the whole thing. But I feel like for such a short little novella, like there's a lot of white space in here, it did so much and it made my brain light up, and I just liked it so much. I think a lot of people will just be like, this is confusing. I don't know why people like this, but I really liked it. I mean, it does a lot, and I don't want to say much about what it does because then it'll wreck parts of the book. So anyway, it says, a young woman named Amanda lies dying in a rural hospital clinic. A boy named David sits beside her. She's not his mother, he's not her child. Together they tell a haunting story of broken souls, toxins, and the power and desperation of family. So I just thought this was really good. I think more people should read it, but also read it slowly. I read, what was the other one by her? Little Eyes, I think it's called. The one with all the little Furby-like creatures. And I liked that one, but not as much as this one. I thought this one had a lot to say, not on the nose, not too in your face, but just had a lot to say. And I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, these are my top, they're all messed up and in a weird order, but I'm just gonna do this anyway. 10 honorable mentions for the year of 2025. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, subscribe if you wanna, and I will see you next time.